Assalamu alaikum guys. I hope all of you are doing well. This is Bilal and I am going to be your maths instructor for today. We are going to be starting with IGCSE Maths 0580 paper 4 code number 43 variant 3 May June. Alright, let's start. But before we begin, I'd like to share something very important. All revenue generated from this channel for the first 6 months will be donated to Palestine, inshallah. So please do like, subscribe, and share our channel to help support this cause. Thank you. Alright, let's start. So, question number one. In 2023, a football club had 50 adult members and 70 child members. All right. The membership fee for an adult was $40 and the membership fee for a child was $15. Calculate the total of the membership fees received by the club in 2023. All right. So that is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. So we're going to say that 50 adults into $40 and plus 70 children into 15, and that should give us a total of 3050, and that would be our final answer. 3050. All right, perfect. Pretty simple. Question number two. Question one, part two. All right. So the cost of running the club in 2023 was $2,780. Calculate $2780 as a percentage of the total membership fees received by the club. So we have a total membership fees of 3050. So we're going to say 2780 divided by 3050 multiplied by 100 because we're taking out a percentage. So that would mean, all right, this should give us 91.15%. All right, perfect. Part 3. In 2023, there were 120 members. This was a decrease by 4% of the number of members in 2022. Calculate the number of members in 2022. Okay. So we know that in 2023 there were 120 members, but we do not know how many members were there in 2022. But we do know that there was an increase of 4%. Okay. So we need to calculate the number of members in 2022. So can we say that, oh sorry, there was a decrease of 4%. So can we say that X, number of members in 2022, multiplied by, because there was a decrease, first you have first you had 100% of the members, then a decrease of 4% means that now you have only 96% of the members. Make sense? So we're going to say X into 96% equals what? Equals 120 members. Okay. Okay, so that should give us 125 members. Perfect. All right. Part number 4. In 2024, the total number of members increased from 120 in 2000 in 2023. All right. The number of adult members and the number of child members each increased by the same number. The ratio number of adults, okay, number of children changed to 14 is to 19. All right. So we can say that number of adult members and the number of child. Okay, so number of adult members would be 50 plus x, all right, and the number of child members would be 70 plus x. All right, makes sense because originally there were 50 and 70. Okay, so in 2024 the total number of members increased from 120. All right, so we have an X increase in adult members and an X increase in children members. Okay, and we know that the ratio is 14 is to 19. Okay, find the total number of members in 2024 in the next year. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to say adults. Okay, 50 plus X is to 70 plus X children, and this ratio should equal 14 is to 19. All right, make sense? Now you could just cross multiply. All right, so we could say 50 plus X over 70 plus X is equals to 14 over 19. Does that make sense? Now we could cross multiply. So 50 plus X into 19 is equals to 14 into 70 plus X. Okay, and that should give us 950 plus 19x if I'm not wrong, and 980 plus 14x. Yup, and then we bring the like terms together. 19x minus 14x is equals to 980 minus 950, and that would give us 5x is equals to 30, and that should give us a final answer of 6. Is this correct? Yup, this is correct. Alright, perfect. So now we have the figure, we have the value of x. Okay, that's not a final answer. That is just the value of x. Now we need to find out the total number of members. How do we do that? So we know that total is the number of adults plus the number of children. Okay, so we're going to say 50 plus 6 plus 70 plus 6. That just means 56 plus 76. Alright, and that should give us 132, and that is our final answer. Alright, perfect. Moving forward, calculate the percentage increase in the total number of members from 2023 to 2024. Now, we know that in 2023 we had 120 members, okay? And we know that in 2024 now we have 132 members. We need to figure out the percentage increase, okay? So we're going to say 132 minus 120 over 120 into 100. Okay, all right, that's what we're gonna do, and that should give us 10%. All right, perfect. Moving forward, the population of a village is 2500. The population is decreasing exponentially at a rate of 3% per year. Calculate the percentage at the end of 3 years. Okay, so the population is 2500 and it's decreasing by 3% per year. We need to find the population at the end of 3 years. Okay, so we know that it's exponential, so we need to make an exponential function. All right, so we're going to say population is equals to p naught, the initial population, 1 minus the rate over the time. Does that make sense? All right, now we're just going to insert the values. So we're going to say it was 2500 initially, 1 minus the rate, which is 3%, so that is 3 over 100, into the time frame. Okay, that should give us double 282, and that is our final answer. Pretty standard and pretty simple up until now. Okay, find the number of complete years it takes for the population to first fall below 2000. Okay, number of complete years it takes the population to first fall below 2000. Okay, so we don't know t, we don't know the time. We're going to use the same formula. We're going to say p is equals to p naught 1 minus the rate over the t time, and we know that 2000 below 2000, okay, and right now it's 2500, and 1 minus 3%, the same rate, we do not know the time, okay. So now we are simply going to solve. Okay, so this is multiplying, this is 2000 divided by 2500, 3. All right, that should give us 3 divided by 25. All right, so 4 over 5 equals to 1 minus 3 over 100 over t. And now we can use the log, but there is an even simpler way. What we can do is we can take sort of a random number to figure out if it falls below 2000. Okay, so we can take 7, we can take 6, we can take 8, and the threshold at which it just goes below 2000 is the number that we need to take. Okay, so we can take 8. Okay, so we're going to say that so we can say that 2500 into 1 minus 3 over 100 is 8. How did we come come to the conclusion of 8? Because we figured out that if it's decreasing at 3%, it'll take 3 years to reach 2282. Okay, so how much time will it take for 2000? Okay, so definitely more than 3. So we can just use trial and error. Okay, and that should give us 1959.3, and yep, this is less than 2000, so we're going to say 8 years. That's a simpler method. Okay, question number 2. Okay, the nth term of a sequence is 120 minus n cube. Find the fourth term of the sequence. Pretty simple, pretty standard, free marks. So 4 cube, that will give us 120 minus 64, and that should give us 56. Alright. Find the value of n when the nth term is 1 minus 1211. Okay, so we need to find the value of n. So what we can say is okay. So we know the nth term already. So the nth term is 1211 minus 120, but we don't know the power of n. Okay, so we know the term, we don't know the power. Okay, so we know the term, but we don't know the value. All right, so we're gonna say n cube is equal to 120 plus 1121, and that should give us uh, n cube root 1331. That should equal 11. All right, perfect. Part B. The nth term of a different sequence is 3 into 0.2 n minus 1. Okay, this is the nth term of a different sequence. A sequence different from that one we just solved. Okay, find the fifth term of the sequence. Alright, so we're just going to say 3 into 0.2, and n, we're going to replace n with 5, so 5 minus 1, and that would give us 3 into 0.2 power 4. and that should, I think, give us an answer of 3 over 6 to 5. Alright, so we could write 3 over 6.225, or we could solve it. We could solve the fraction. That would give us 0.0048, or you could just write 3 over 6 to 5. Either one works. Alright, part number C. The table shows the first four terms of sequences A, B, C. Okay, so the first term, the second term, third term, and the fourth term of the sequences A, B, C. We need to figure out the fifth term and the nth term. Okay, we need to figure that out. So what we can see is that 3 is being subtracted. Okay, minus 3, minus 3, minus 3. So we're just going to minus 3. Alright, so minus 2 minus 3 would just be minus 5. Perfect. Okay, and we now need to figure out the nth term. Okay, so how are we going to figure out the nth term? We're just going to say that, okay, so we're going to say for sequence A, okay, arithmetic progression is equals to the nth term is equals to A plus n minus 1b. That's the formula. Okay, so the first term is 7. Alright, the first term is 7, and n minus 1 means this, and the difference is minus 3. Alright, if we solve this, we're gonna get 7 minus 3n plus 3. That should give us the final answer of 10 minus 3n. Alright, perfect. So that's our nth term, 10 minus 3n. Perfect. Next, 1 upon 4, 2 upon 5, 3 upon 6, 4 upon 7. Okay? So it's basically happening is that we're plussing 1 in the denominator and we're adding 1 in the numerator as well. So that would give us 5 over 8. Alright? And the nth term would simply be something divided by something. Makes sense? So it would be n divided by what? Divided by n plus 3. Okay, why? Because let's say this is our n1. And what's the nth term? N plus 3, the 4. Okay, so n over n plus 3. Simple enough? Now, sequence C. Okay, so 0 to 6, 12. So we're going to write 0 to 6, 12. This has a difference of 2. This has a difference of 4. And this has a difference of 6. Alright, and then these have a differences of 2 and 2. Make sense? So we can say the second difference is constant. Okay, so that means that this is a quadratic sequence. Okay, so quadratic sequence, which is a n square plus b n plus c. All right, we need to figure this out. So a is 2 over 2, which is 1. All right, that's a in our case, because it's 2 over 2. Okay, so a would be 2 over 2, which is 1. All right, and then for the rest of it, it's 3a plus b is equals to 2. Does that make sense? And then if we simply solve for b, we would get b is equals to minus 1. And similarly, a plus b plus c would simply equal what? 0. Alright, does that make sense? A plus b plus c simply equals 0. And we know the values of A and B. It's 1 minus 1 and plus C. C is 0. Alright. Now we're going to insert these in our formula. Okay. So this is going to give us n square minus n plus 0. Alright. Because n squared 1 minus n minus 1 and then 0. C is a 0. Okay. It's the same quadratic sequence that I identified earlier. So this is simply n squared minus n. Alright, does that make sense to you? Does that make sense? And this would just be so 12. So fifth times 25, 25 minus 2 would give us 23 if I am not wrong. Yep, I think we're correct. Alright, moving forward. Question number 3. Rahul rolls a dice 60 times. The results are shown in the table. Score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Frequency is 10, 6, 11, 13, 14, and 6. Find the mode, median, and mean. This is very, very, very simple. So, mode is just the highest frequency, okay, the highest repeated value. So, let's see. So, we have 1 10 times, 2 6 times, 3 11 times, 4 13 times, 5 14 times, and 6 6 times. Okay, so we can clearly see 5 is repeated the most, so that is 14. So our mode is simply 5. 5 is repeated 4 times, so our mode is 5. Alright, moving forward, find the median. Okay, so we need to find the middle value. Okay, so median simply be 1 over 2 of 60. Alright, that is our median. Okay, so 6 and 6. Alright, so what we could basically say is we could rearrange them in ascending order. So 6 6 10 11 13 and 14. Alright, 6 6 10 11 13 14 and 10 plus 11 would be, so 10.5. That would basically mean that 4 is our median. Alright, makes sense? Because why? Because 60 divided by 2 is 30. Okay, so what we basically did, alright, leave this. This is a bit confusing. So we're just going to rub this. Median is basically the middle value. Okay, so what we basically did was we said that, okay, so some of this is 60, alright? Some of this is 60. So we just need the middle value, okay? We just need the middle value of these, alright? That is the 30th value, okay? So 10, 16, alright? And then 27, and then 30th value lies over here, alright? Over here, somewhere over here. So that why is 4. And then mean is just the average, alright? So we could say that the mean would simply be 10 plus 12. Okay, and where did this come from? This basically came from this into this, alright? F into x. There's a f, there's a x, alright? So 10 plus 12 plus 33 plus 52 plus 70 plus 36. Alright, divided by 60. That is your mean value, your average value, which is 3.55. All right, perfect. Sangeeta measures the speed of each of 100 cars. The results are shown in the table. Speed 20, 30, frequency 10, from 30 to 50, frequency 72, and from 50 to 75, frequency 18. So we're just going to take out the middle values, okay? So we're going to say x is the middle value because this is a range. So this is 20 plus 30 divided by 2, 25. 30 plus 50 divided by 2 would be 40, and 50 plus 75 divided by 2 would be 62.5. All right, perfect. And this is our frequency. Now we have to figure out fx, okay? Fx would be 25 into 10 would be 250. 40 into 72 would be 2880, and 62.5 into 18 would simply be 1125. Alright, so these are our fx. Calculate an estimate of the mean speed. Okay, so we need to calculate an estimate of the mean speed. So the formula for mean is summation fx over the sum or the total. Alright, that's a formula for mean in group data. So that would give us 250 plus 2880 plus 1125. That would give us 142.55. Alright, perfect. So we're clear till here. There's no issues, there's no problem. Moving on to part 2. Sangeeta draws a histogram, alright, to show the information in the table. Okay. The height of the bar that represents 20 to 30 is 3 centimeter. Okay, so that is our frequency density basically, FD. And the formula for frequency density is frequency over class width. Alright, the width of the class. Calculate the height of each of the other two bars on this histogram. Okay, so you need to calculate the height of each of the other two bars. So we're going to say that frequency density is 3 is equals to frequency was 10. Alright, makes sense? Frequency is 10. Alright, and the class width is basically the difference. Alright, basically the difference between these two. So 30 minus 20 is also 10, and so this checks out. Alright, alright, makes sense. So now we know our frequency density. Now in the formula of frequency density, that frequency or class width comes 1, but the answer is 3. That means we're multiplying it by 3. So whatever we get for each of the following intervals, we're going to multiply it by 3. Does that make sense? Because that is what the formula tells us. That is what the question tells us. Okay. So now we have for the first interval. Now we need to figure out for the second and the third. Okay. So frequency, class width, and frequency density, which equals frequency over class width, which is the normal formula, but this is a bit tweaked because of the question. So multiplied by 3. Alright, because we're multiplying every frequency density by 3. Frequency is 72 and 18. Alright, make sense? So 72 and 18. Alright, perfect. Class width would be 50 minus 30, which is 20. And for the next one would be 75 minus 50, which is 25. And the formula is 72 over 20 into 3 and 18 over 25 into 3, which would give us 10.8 and 2.16, and that is our final answer, 10.8 and 2.16. Alright, perfect. Moving on to the next question, question number 4. In this question, all the measurements are in centimeters. Okay, so all the measurements are in centimeters. Nothing is in inches, nothing in any units, all is in centimeter. The area of the triangle is equal to the area of the square. show that 3r squared plus r minus 6 is equal to 0. So the area of this square and the area of this triangle is equal. Okay, so we're going to say that the area of the triangle, which is 1 upon 2 into base into height, which is 1 over 2 into r plus 2 into r plus 5, and we do not know height, so we're going to say sine 30. Alright, is equal to what? That's the sign by the way. Is equal to r plus 1 whole square. Okay, because why? R plus 1 into r plus 1, and the area of triangle would be given by 1 over 2 into base into height. We're gonna get the height by what? Sine 30 into r plus 2. Okay, makes sense? Does that make sense? Alright, so 1 over 2 into r square plus 5r plus 2r plus 10 into 1 upon 2, sine theta is 1 upon 2, is equals to r square plus 2r plus 1. That should give us 1 over 4, 1 over 4 r squared plus 7r plus 10 is equals to r square plus 2r plus 1. What if you multiply them by 4? Right? That would just make it easier for us. That would give us r square plus 7r plus 10 is equals to, that would give us 4r squared plus 8r plus 4. Make sense? Now we have to prove it equals 0. So we're going to bring all the like terms on one side. So we're going to say 0 is equals to 4r squared minus r squared from over here plus 8r minus 7r plus 4 minus 10, and that should give us a final answer of 3r squared plus r minus 6 equals to 0. Perfect, straightforward and simple. Alright, solve the equation 3r squared plus r minus 6 equals to 0. Give your answer to two decimal places. You must show all your working. I'm going to solve the equation that we just got. Okay, so we're going to say 3r squared plus r minus 6 equals to 0. Okay, and we could just put it in the formula. Okay, the quadratic formula. So a would be 3, b would be 1, and c would be minus 6. Does that make sense? Alright, so we could just put that into the quadratic formula. That should give us r is equals to negative b plus minus root 1 squared b plus b squared minus 4 a and c, so that would be 3 and negative 6 over 2 3. Alright, that would give us r equals minus 1 plus minus root 73 over 6, and if we further solve this, this would give us r equals 1.26 and r equals minus 1.59, and that is our final answer, 1.26 or minus 1.59. Okay, make sense? Find the perimeter of the square. Okay, so we need to find the perimeter, the sum of all sides. Perimeter is what? Perimeter is the sum of all sides. Sum of all sides. Alright, so do we have the sides? We sure do. Okay, so that we've just taken them out over here. So that would mean 4 into the sides, which is r plus 1, okay? 4 into r plus 1. So that should give us 4r plus 4, and we know the value of r is 1.26, and that should give us 9.04. That is our final answer. Perfect. Alright. Question number 5. The diagram shows the graph of y is equal to fx for values of x from -3 to 3. Use the graph to find out f of 2. Okay, so we're going to put f of 2. Alright, so that means that x is basically 2. But what is y? Alright, y. What is y? We don't know that. Okay, but we could just look at the graph and figure out. Okay, so f of 2x2 would be this point over here, and this would intersect the graph at this point over here. Oh, not this point. My mistake. This would intersect the y-axis at, I suppose, this point. That would give us 3. Alright, so 3 is the value of x. Use the graph to solve the equation fx is equal to 5. Alright, so now the value of y is 5. So we're just going to draw a simple line from 5 to x. So that would mean this point over here. So this is, let me read it again. So it's 5. Okay, so 5 intersects at more than 1 point. Okay, so 5 intersects at that. 5 also intersects over here because we have two graphs. So 5 would also intersect over here, and 5 would also intersect over here. Right at this one, this is -2. Alright, so we have three values. So fx is equal to 5 would give three values of x, which are -2 and -0.4 and 2.4. Alright, perfect. Moving on. Part 3. The equation fx equals to k has exactly two solutions. Okay, so this equation has two solutions. We have an equation which has two solutions. We need to find out the value of k. Alright, let's go back up. So where do we find two solutions? Okay, at which point of y does it intersect at only 2 points? Over here, no, it does at 3 points. Over here, no, it does at only 1 point. Okay, so at which point of y does it intersect at only 2 points? Over here, it touches the tangent. Okay, and over here 2, so -1 and 2, only two possible solutions. So that means y is equal to 3, or k is equal to 3. Choose the correct word from the box to complete the statement. The line x equals to 0 is the dash the graph of y is equals to fx. Let's check from the graph. So tangent, asymptote, root, perpendicular. So it's not a tangent, we can clearly see, and it's not a solution, so it's not a root. Alright, so we are left with perpendicular and asymptote. Okay, so by looking at the graph, we could clearly see that it's an asymptote. Can you see? This is x equals to 0. This goes an asymptote like that. Okay, so it's not a tangent, it's not a root, it's not a perpendicular, it's an asymptote. Make sense? Perfect. On the grid, draw the graph of y is equals to x minus 2 for values of x from minus 3 to 3. Okay? We need to draw the graph of y is equals to 2 for the values of x from minus 3 to 3. So our range is minus 3 to 3. Our domain is minus 3 to 3. Okay? So it would be a straight line from minus 3 to 3. So we would have 1 point at over here, 1 minus comma minus 1, and 1 point over here. Alright? Make sense? Y x minus 2. Okay? So we're just gonna put these values in here. So minus 2 minus 2 minus 5. Okay, and 3 minus 2 will be 1. Alright. And we would just draw a line from there to there. Okay, so alright. Something similar to this, because minus 2 is our y-intercept. Alright, perfect. Find when fx, find x when fx is equal to x minus 2. Okay, so we need to find the value of y when you have the equation x minus 2. So that, simply by looking at the graph, you could see that that is 1. Perfect. Fx is equal to x squared minus c over x. X is not equal to 0. Use the graph to show that c is equal to 2. The graph. So x squared minus c over x is equal to x minus 2. So that would simply mean that c is equal to 2. Alright. The equation fx is equal to x minus 2 can be written as x cube plus px squared plus qx plus 2. Find the value of p and the value of q. Alright, this is a pretty simple, straightforward question. There's not much to do in this. So we're just gonna start solving this equation. Okay, so that should give us x squared minus 2 over x is equals to x minus 2. Okay, taking LCM, x cube minus 2 over x is equals to x minus 2, and then x cube minus 2 is equals to x squared minus 2x, x cube minus x squared plus 2x minus 2 is equals to 0, x cube minus x squared plus 2x is equals to 2, x cube plus px squared plus qx is equals to 2, minus 1 and 2 would be our final answers. Perfect. Question number 6, part A. The diagram shows a ladder GH on horizontal ground leaning against a vertical wall HF. GF is 1.5 and HF is 4. Calculate the length of the ladder GH. Simple Pythagoras. So GH whole squared is equal to 1.5 whole squared plus 4 whole squared. That should give us GH is equal to root of 1.5 squared plus 4 squared, and that would give us 4.27. Perfect. Part B. W is 120 meters north of V and 50 meters east of V. Okay, so that means that W is, if you draw a line, so this till here would be 180 degrees. Okay, Make sense? And this is the angle. Okay? So calculate the bearing V from W. So we need to calculate this. So we can just use tan. So tan theta is equals to 50 over 120. Theta is equals to tan inverse 50 over 120, and that would give us 22.62. Now from the bearing, we need to calculate the bearing. So bearing is just 180 degrees plus 22.62. Alright, and that would give us 202.6 degrees. Perfect. Part C. In the quadrilateral ABCD, AD is equal to CD is equal to 5 and EB is equal to BC. Angle ABD is 25 degrees and angle BAD is 15 degrees. Okay, so if we label this, we know that this is 25, this is 15, this is 5, this is 5. Okay, calculate the perimeter of the quadrilateral ABCD, sum of all sides. Okay, so that would give us, okay, so sine rule, that would give us, okay, and then for the perimeter, this would mean 5 plus 5 plus 7.6 plus 7.6. Alright, that should give us 25.21. Alright, party. So PQRS is a quadrilateral. Calculate the angle PQR. So we need PQR. We need this angle over here. Okay. So how do you find that? We're gonna use the law of cosine. Okay. We're gonna use cosine. Okay. So we're gonna say law of cosine. All right. That is triangle PQRS. That would mean the side PR whole squared is equals to 11 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 into 11 into 8 cos 110 degrees. Alright, then we're going to say PR is equals to 15.7 centimeter. Alright, so we've got PR, which is this line over here, 15.7. Now law of cosine, and this time we're going to use it on triangle PQR. So this was triangle PQS, and this is triangle PQR. Alright, makes sense? So what we're going to say is that we're going to say that 15.7 whole squared is equals to 10 whole squared plus 14 whole squared. All right, I think I'm doing this right. Minus 2 into 10 into 14 cosine of P, Q, and R. All right. So what we could do now is we could just bring the like terms on one side, and we could further simplify this. And when we do, this should give us cos theta of minus 49.51. All right, and divided by minus 280, I suppose. And to find theta, what we could do is take inverse. So this would just become theta is equal to cos inverse 49.51 over 280, and that should give us a final answer of 79.8 degrees. Alright, perfect. I think let's change the color of our pens. So the answer is 79.8 degrees. Perfect. Alright, moving on. Question number 7. A car travels 50 kilometers at an average speed of 75. Find the time taken. Give your answer in minutes. Okay, so the formula for speed is equals to distance upon time. And so the formula for time would be time is equals to distance over speed. Pretty simple, right? Next, what we're going to do is we're going to say that the distance is 50 and the time that it takes, the speed that it takes is 75. All right, kilometers and kilometers per hour. So this just gets out, and we would be left with 50 over 75 hours is equals to 2 over 3 hours, which should give us 40 minutes. So our answer is 40. Alright, perfect. Moving on to part 2. An other car travels at 47 km, correct to the nearest kilometer. Okay. The average speed of the car is 75 km per hour, correct to the nearest 5 kilometers. Okay. So to the nearest kilometer, that means that we're going to round it off. So we're going to round it off. Let's say if it's 0.5, we're going to round it off to the nearest kilometer. Let's say if it's 47.5, we're going to round it off to 48. Make sense? So calculate the lower bound of the time taken, give the answer in minutes. Right, so we're going to say distance. All right, dot dot 47 plus 0.5 and 47 minus 0.5. Make sense? That's going to give us our lower bound. Okay, so that would be 47.5 and that is 46.5. All right, so now same for speed. 75 plus 2.5 and 75 minus 2.5. Make sense? Because speed was correct to the nearest 5 kilometers. So we're going to get 77.5 and 72.5. Alright? Now, speed is equal to, as you all know, distance upon time. So, time would be distance over speed. And so what we would do is we're going to say that the time for lower bound is the distance for lower bound divided by the speed for lower bound. Pretty simple. So we're going to say 46.5 divided by, what's the lower bound? 72.5, and that should give us a final answer of 0.6. I suppose 0.6, and that is in hours. So in minutes, that should be 36. Alright, perfect. Part B. The train travels a total of 240 kilometers. Okay, that's your distance, 240. The train travels for t minutes at an average speed of 100 kilometers per hour. It then travels for t plus 60 minutes at an average speed of 110 kilometers per hour. Find the average speed for the whole journey. Okay, we need the average speed for the whole journey. So it first travels for t minutes at 100, then travels for t plus 60 minutes at 110. Find the average speed of the whole journey. Okay, so the formula for speed is again d over t, and the formula for distance would be s into t. All right. So first we're gonna find the distance for the first one. Okay, for the first speed. So distance is equals to 100 over 60 minutes. That should give us into t, because we don't know how many minutes. T minutes, that should cancel out. That should give us 100 over 60 into t kilometers. Okay, that's the first distance. The second distance similarly would be d2, which would be s into t is equals to 110 kilometers over 60 minutes into, this time, t plus 60 minutes. All right, and that should give us, if I'm not wrong, that should give us minutes. So that should give us, end up giving 110 over 60 into t plus 60 kilometer. All right, so we've got both of the values for a kilometer. Now we know that the total distance is 240. Okay, so we're just gonna equate. We're gonna say 100 over 60 t plus 110 over 60 t plus 60 is equals to 240. All right, makes sense. Now what we're going to do is we're going to simply simplify. We're going to say 100t over 60 plus 110 60 multiplied by t plus 110, that is 240, and that should give us, ladies and gentlemen, if we rearrange, that should give us 130 into 2 over 7. All right, that is around 37.14 minutes. Make sense? And then I suppose the average speed would be distance over time, same as speed, distance over time. Now we know our distance and we know our time. Okay, so the distance that it took was 240, as we know, and the time that it took was t1 plus t2. All right, so that would mean that it took 37.14. Okay, so basically 240 over 37.14 divided by 60, because we're converting into hours, over 37.14 plus 60 over 60, because again we're converting into hours, and that should give us a final answer of 107 kilometers. And that is our final answer. Alright, moving forward. Question number 8. The diagram shows a solid made from a cylinder and a cone. The height of the cylinder is 16 centimeter and the height of the cone is 1.5 centimeter. The radius of the cylinder and the base radius of the cone each are 0.35. Calculate the total surface area of the solid. The curved surface area A of the cone with radius r and slant height L is A is equals to pi r L. Okay, so what you basically need to know is this part over here. So let's say it's the middle, this. All right. So you need to find this first. Okay. So that is sort of a triangle of 1.5, 0.35, and L. So L is 0.35 whole squared plus 1.5 whole squared, and that would give us 1.54 centimeters. All right. Then total surface area is pi r squared plus 2 pi r h plus pi r square plus pi r l. Alright, that would mean pi into 0.35 plus 2 into pi into 0.35 into 16 and plus, again, a plus pi r square. So that would give us, now we're going to plus pi r l. Alright, so that is going to give us pi 0.35, 1.54. Are we missing something? Pi 0.35 whole squared plus 2 pi rh pi square. Nope, it's okay. So we're gonna get pi. Let's just take pi common and then multiply. So let's just solve it all together. That would give us 37.6. Moving forward, calculate the volume of the solid. The volume V of a cone with a radius r and a height h is V is equal to 1 upon 3 pi r square h. Okay, so volume is equals to volume of cylinder, okay, plus volume of cone. All right, that would give us pi r square h plus 1 over 3 into pi r square h. That should give us, I suppose, pi and 0.35 squared into 16 plus 1 over 3 pi 0.35 whole squared into 1.5, and that should give us 6.35. Alright, perfect. Part 3. 10 of the solids are placed in a box in a shape of a cuboid of length 17.5. The diagram shows one end of the box. Calculate the volume of the empty space in the box. Okay. So you need to calculate the volume of the empty space. So what's the formula for volume? Okay. The formula for volume would just simply be 10 into 6.35, because this is 1 and this is 10. Okay, this is 1 cylinder and this is 10. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to say that 10 into 6.35, okay, that's the volume of 10 solids, okay, 63.5, that's the volume of the solids. We need the volume of the empty spaces, okay. So volume of cuboid, or the empty space. So the volume of the cuboid is basically 17.5, all right, into 3.5, okay, into 1.4. Make sense? That gives us 85.75 centimeter cube. Now we're just gonna minus the two. Pretty simple. So empty space would just equal 85.75 minus 63.5, and that should give us 22.25, I suppose. Perfect. Let's move on. So the diagram shows two mathematically similar solids. The surface area of the larger solid is 200 and the surface area of the smaller solid is 98. The volume of the larger solid is 450. Calculate the volume of the smaller solid. Okay, so the volume of the larger solid, the surface area of the larger solid is 200 and the surface area of the smaller solid is simply 98. Okay, makes sense till over here? Then the volume of the larger solid is 450. The volume is 450 and the volume is unknown. All right. So what we can say is that A1 over A2 is equal to L1 over L2. Remember that formula? Simple. A1 over A2 to L1 over L2. Okay. V1 over V2 similarly is equal to L1 over L2 cube. Make sense? Then we're gonna say, so this is squared over here, and then we bring the square to the other side. Makes sense? And this is cube, so we're gonna bring it to the other side. So V1 over V2 1 over 3 is equals to L1 over L2. Alright, so now what we're gonna say is that A1 over A2 1 over 2 is equals to V1 over V2 1 by 3. Make sense? Now I need to figure these ratios out. Okay, so we're gonna say that the area 1 and area 2 we already know, right? So we're gonna say 200, alright, over 98, that is 1 upon 2, is equals to 450 over, we don't know the volume, 1 over 3. Make sense? Yep, it's correct over here. Now if we want to eliminate the brackets, what we can do is multiply both sides by 3. This would just eliminate this, and we would be left with a much simpler equation, because we don't want any power on v, right? So we're just gonna say 200 over 98 over 3 upon 2 is equals to 450 over v. Make sense? Now let's just solve. So v would be equal to 154.35, and to round it off, 154. Alright, moving forward. The diagram shows 7 cards. Okay. Amir picks a card at random. Find the probability that the card shows the letter H. Okay, so the letter H, there is no letter H, so we're just gonna say 0 over 7. There is no probability, 0. Letter B, so there's 1, there's 1B, and so the probability would simply be 1 over 7. Very basic probability questions. Alright. Fumika picks one of the 7 cards at random. She replaces it and picks up a second card at random. Find a probability that both cards show the letter I. Okay, so we're gonna pick one and then we're going to pick another again. So the probability that both cards show I is that you can have I twice, okay? Okay, so 2 over 7 into its and picks up one of the cards, she replaces it and picks it up again. Second, both cards show the letter I. First and the second. When there is an and, we multiply. So again, 2 over 7. That is going to give us 4 over 49. Perfect. 4 over 49. Marcos picks two of the seven cards at random without replacement. Find a probability that one card shows the letter I and the other card shows the letter N. Alright, so we need to find the probability that one card shows the letter I and the other shows the letter N. So the probability of I is 2 over 7 and the probability of N, if we go back, is 1. But we have already picked one card, so total cards come down to 6. So that is 1 over 6. Okay? And we need to multiply this test by 2 because because it can be that the first card shows N and the second card shows I. So we need to multiply this by 2. So this is 221. Perfect. Find the probability that two cards show different letters. Okay, we don't want same letters, we want different letters. So we have N, A, M, I, B, I, A. So A is repeated and I is repeated. Okay, so we're just gonna say that the probability of same letters, first we're gonna find out the probability of same letters. So probability of same is simply equal to the probability of A. We're just going to call this probability of A for simplicity. So 2 over 7, alright, into 1 over 6, alright. Make sense? So there's a probability of choosing A. So the probability of choosing A is 2 over 7 into 1 over 6, which is 2 over 42. And the probability of choosing I, which is also repeated. So we're basically finding out the probabilities of repeated letters and how we can pick them. Okay, so 2 over 7 into 1 over 6. Again, that gives us 2 over 42. And if we simplify this, that would just give us 1 over 21. 1 over 21. Makes sense till over here, right? Next, what we're gonna say is that the probability of the same letters, okay? Now, this was individual. The probability of same letters, this or that. So we're gonna plus with the add the two probabilities. So that gives us 2 over 21. Make sense? That is the probability of same letters, of us picking the same letters. Okay, we need the probability of different letters. What we're going to do, we're just going to say 1 minus the probability of same letters, that is 1 minus 2 over 21, which gives us a final answer of 19. Perfect. Next, Nina picks up one of the seven cards at random without replacement. She continues picking cards at random without replacement until she picks a card that shows the letter A. The probability that this occurs when she picks the nth card is 4 over 12. Find the value of n. Alright, so we need to find the value of n. So, to find the value of n, we're going to say that this is the probability of A, alright? And so the letters we have is are M, N, B, I, A, okay? So picks up one of the same cards random without replacement. She continues picking cards random without replacement. She picks a card that shows the letter A. Find probability that this occurs when she picks the end card. So this should be A. So we're gonna find out first the probability that the card is not A. Okay, so not A. Not A would be 5 over 7. into 2 over 6, which is just 10 over 42, which would be 5 over 21. Okay, that's it. So the probability of not being A is 5 over 7. Okay, and the probability of A is 2 over 6. Makes sense? So we have these letters. The probability of not A is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 7. And when we've picked it, we've basically reduced our sample, right? So this is not A, and this is A. This is A. Alright, so the first pick is not an A, and the second pick, so the first pick is not an A, and the second pick is an A. Okay, that's the probability. Now, moving forward, what if we have not A, and then an A? Make sense? So 5 over 7 into 4 over 6 into 2 over 5 is equals to 40 over 210, which should simply give us 4 over 21. Alright, so that is our third pick. This is our second pick, and this 2 over 5 is the third pick. Okay, make sense? So n is 3. When we get 3, we get the the probability 4 over 21. We were just doing trial and error. So n is 3. We got it on the third try, on the third pick. Alright, question number 10. Find the derivative of y with respect to x. Alright, let's do some differentiation. Okay, so dy over, oh, sorry, dy over dx is equals to 7x, 7 minus 1, minus 7, 6x, 6 minus 1. Make sense? Because 7, we're going to subtract 1 and take the power back. We're going to subtract 1 and take the power back again. So that should give us 7x6 minus 7 into 6, that would give us 42x5, and that is our final answer. 7x6 minus 42x5. Perfect. Find the equation of the tangent to the graph of y is equals to x7 minus 7x to the power of 6 at the point where x is equals to minus 1. Give your answer in the form of y is equals to mx plus c. Alright, so the point that we have is x is equals to minus 1. Okay, so y is equals to minus 1, 7 minus 7 minus 1, 6 is equals to minus 1, minus 7 over 1. This would give us minus 7 minus 1, which is minus 8. Alright, perfect. Now, time for the gradient. So the gradient of y, the gradient, the gradient of y would be 7 1 minus 6. Also, we just got the coordinates. The coordinates would be x0, comma y0, minus 1, comma minus 8. Those are the coordinates, okay? So, 7 minus 1 to the power of 6 minus 42 minus 1, that's a differentiated equation that we're putting it in. That would give us minus 42 minus 1. This would give us 7 plus 42, and that would be 49. That is our gradient. Alright, moving forward. Equation of the tangent. We know that the equation of any line for that matter is y minus y1 is equals to mx minus x1. Make sense? So x1 or x0, y1 or y0, it's the same, okay? So y is equals to minus 849 x minus 1, and that should give us y plus 8 is equals to 49x plus 49, and taking it to the other side, 49x plus 49 minus 8, and that would give us y is equals to 49x plus 41. Alright, 49x plus 41 is our final answer. Pretty simple. Alright. The graph of y is equals to x7 minus 7x to the power of 6 has two turning points. Find the coordinates of these points. Okay, you must show all your working. Okay, so is 0. Alright. We're going to place it equal to 0. Okay, the differentiation of y equal to 0. So 7x6 minus 42x5 is equal to 0. 7x5 x minus 6 is equal to 0. So 7 is not equal to 0. X5 is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. Alright, and then x minus 6 is equal to 0, and x would just equal 6. Make sense? Moving forward. Y is equals to x7 minus 7x6. Y equals 0 minus 7, 0. And that would give us 6 minus 7, 6, 6. Makes sense? And if you solve this, you would get 279936 minus 326592. That's a huge number, but if you subtract this, you would get 6 comma minus 46656, and this would be 0 and 0. Alright, perfect. Question number 11, and that is our last question. In the circle center O, the length of the minor arc PQ is 3 over 7 of the length of the major arc PQ. Show that x is equals to 108. Alright, so arc length is equals to theta over 360 2 pi r. Okay, so arc length is equals to theta over 360, okay, into 2 pi r, suppose 2 pi r. Alright, and that is, this angle is 360 minus x. Make sense? That would be that should give us so 10x is equals to 1080, and x would just be 1080 over 10, which is 108. Perfect. Part B. The diagram shows a sector OAB of a circle with center O and radius R. The area of the triangle is OAB half area of the sector, half the area of the sector, angle AOB is equal to y and is obtuse, meaning it is greater than 90. Okay, so we're gonna say 1 over 2 r into sine y is 1 over 2. Okay, and then we're gonna say multiplied by y over 360, which is a sector, into pi r square. So pi square is gonna go. Alright, and that should give us sine y is equal to y over 360 pi. That should give us 360 sine y 60 pi. Alright, perfect. Complete the table, getting answer correct to two decimal places. Okay. So 360 sine y, 341 pi y. Alright. Okay. So we're just gonna say 340. So it's reducing by 0.20, right? So we're gonna say 341.00 and 386, 355. So that would mean 341.18. Reducing by 4, reducing by 2, and then reducing by 1. Hence 341.4. Perfect. Complete the statement. The value of y correct to one decimal place that satisfies the equations 360 sine y is equal to pi y is. Okay, so that would simply be, let's take a look. This one. Alright, perfect. I think that's it for today. Thank you.